because after the initial kind of hangover symptoms, there are people saying that they can't see anymore, and then suddenly people are in comas and dying from this.
Some people they just stopped drinking, and other people are avoiding at least like vodka, whiskey, like this kind of spirit drinks.
Hey, it's Hannah here. Welcome to What in the World, your podcast for the stories that get people talking from the BBC World Service. Drinking is a big part of Brazilian culture. Caipirinhas on the beach, at football games, or with your churrasco Brazilian barbecue. But recently, Brazilians have been on edge about drinking, and that's because there's been a surge in cases of methanol poisoning. There have been hundreds of confirmed cases and even several deaths in and around Sao Paulo. Methanol is a clear, odourless liquid, and it's found in antifreeze, in fuel and varnish, and ingesting just a tiny bit can cause blindness or even death. So how's it getting in your drinks, and what's being done to control this outbreak? We're going to get into this with a reporter from the BBC's Brazilian language service. But first of all, let's hear how worried some people are in Brazil.
I stopped drinking. I haven't had a drink in a few months. It's completely changed my social life because ever since I stopped drinking, I've also stopped going out. So I stopped seeing my friends. This month, for example, is my birthday. I don't know what I'm going to do. I love celebrating my birthday, but this month is completely different. This year is completely different.
I've always been very careful and prefer to go to certified proper places rather than off licenses or suspicious places. Especially as someone living in Sao Paulo, where most methanol cases have happened, we need to be extra cautious.
And these are very serious cases. People are losing their lives and health consequences that are irreversible. You can't just say, oh, that won't happen to me.
With people saying we should stop drinking for a while and some people getting anxious about having to stop, it's made me think, is the way I drink alcohol healthy? Is it responsible? Can I go out, have fun, socialise and interact without drinking?
So it sounds like some people's drinking habits have completely changed, at least for now. And we're going to find out a bit more about what is causing this. And here with me in the studio is Luis Fernando Toledo, who is from the BBC's Brazil service. Hey, Luis.
Hi, thanks for having me.
Yeah, you're very, very welcome. Bem-vindo, as they say.
Obrigado.
Now, I've spent a lot of time in Brazil. I'm a huge fan. I've got some family living there, and I've also been to Carnival a few times, and drinking is a big part of the culture. It seems that it's really easy to buy booze. There's a lot of street sellers, people shaking up cocktails. Can you tell our listeners a little bit more about Brazil's drinking culture and how much of a role it plays in everyday life?
So drinking is part of the social culture as in other countries. And when I started covering this story, I had never heard about methanol before. This was not something I was concerned, and other people were not concerned about that. So it's really, really common. When I go to my hometown in Brazil, I go to a street vendor. I buy things from those vendors because I never thought this could be dangerous for me. And that's the same thing I heard from other people. So it's really common to buy like a copão, we say copão in the street.
Drinks,
a massive
right?
drink is almost a liter of vodka for like $2, 10 reais something. And in Brazil, you need to be 18 to drink. The inspection is not that good, so It's really, really easy to get alcohol even if you are under 18.
Yeah, I've never been asked for ID, and I first went to Brazil when I was 18 and I looked a little bit younger. But recently people have been really worried, as we heard, about what is in these drinks. What's been happening?
So the problem is that we've had this methanol poisoning cases where you don't really know before you drink. That's not easy to understand, to find out if there's methanol, because when you drink it, it's exactly the same feeling as if you were drinking normal alcohol, ethanol. And you are going to start to feel bad like after a few hours. And the most important thing is that after you start feeling like that, you need to go to a hospital. But people don't usually know what's going on. And as I said, like we didn't know about methanol poisoning before. Some people they just stopped drinking, and other people are avoiding at least like vodka, whiskey, like this kind of spirit drinks.
So, Luis, what exactly is methanol? How is it different to ethanol, the normal alcohol that we drink?
So methanol is an industrial alcohol. It's made for other purposes, not for human beings. So it's highly, highly poison for a human being. If you drink it, you're not going to feel in the same in the beginning, but after a few hours, you will start to feel dizzy. This is the main problem because you feel almost the same. but then the symptoms won't go away. It's like you're having an infinite hangover. So after a few hours, doctors say that you really need to go to a hospital.
Because after the initial kind of hangover symptoms, there are people saying that they can't see anymore, and then suddenly people are in comas and dying from this.
Exactly. That's why people are so scared now, because you can like be drinking with your friends and suddenly you lose your sight. So how does that happen? And doctors are saying that after that happens, there's no way to get your sight. You can't see anymore. So it's really hard. It's irreversible, exactly.
And how is it getting into people's drinks?
There are two theories that right now that the police is still investigating those cases, but one could be like people are creating fake alcohol and selling the bottles. And the other one is that it's just an accident. One of this industry had an accident and accidentally put methanol, but it's most likely the first one. And we did an investigation, BBC Brazil, explaining how this happens. How can a fake bottle end up in a street vendor or even in a normal pub? So the first thing is that it's really, really easy to buy bottles in Brazil.
Empty bottles.
Empty bottles. So you visit a Facebook group, for example. We found one Facebook group with 10,000 people, and they were selling bottles from famous brands. They can sell caps. They sell everything. And there's even a seal from the federal revenue in Brazil. And this seal is usually used for taxes, but at the same time, it's used to prove that the bottle is legitimate. So that's how experts tell people to identify a real bottle. Look for the seal. But the problem is that we found out in this Facebook group that many people are selling the seals. So
how are they getting them, or are they just counterfeit?
We don't know. We asked the government if these were legitimate or counterfeit, but they said they didn't know. At the same time, after the story was published, the federal government asked Meta, who owns Facebook, to remove those posts and to block the people who were selling it on WhatsApp. So after 2 days, they did that, and now the police have the documents, the data about these people to investigate them.
Do we know if it's related to criminal gangs or anything like that?
Some people suspect that PCC, a famous gang in Brazil, was involved, but now we don't really have a proof. So many people, I think around 50 people have been arrested due to creating fake alcohol and using those bottles. And we know there are at least two lines of investigation, one in São Paulo, where most cases happen, and another one in the federal level, in the federal government, because some people think it's caused by this organized crime organization, and other people think it's just like a local problem.
Is it particularly affecting tourists? Is it locals? Or is it just everyone? How far into the supply chain, the alcohol supply chain, are these contaminated bottles getting?
So I think this is why people are so scared. This is why they are not drinking anymore, because I believe like for the first time in many years, these cases are happening with local people who live in the city and go to a local pub. It doesn't have to be like a informal place or something that nobody heard of before. It's like a normal pub. So people are scared because this could be from any place. So the recommendation now is avoid. If you can, don't drink.
Is that the government recommendation? Is that what they're saying?
Exactly. Government, some health experts, and many people are telling us that don't drink, or if you drink beer, drink wine, avoid like whiskey, vodka.
And I've been reading about these testing kits that people could use to find out if there is methanol in their drinks as well.
So after these cases started to appear on the media, several people went to this university who created this method a few years ago, and nobody really spoke about that when they created it. But now everybody's interested. We tried to reach out the researchers, but they said this is not being used now. So I think it's something that maybe the government could learn a little bit more and then see if they can use it massively.
Because what was really unique about it was that you could test, and the test results would come back in a few minutes, so you could actually test it on your drink at the bar. And these were going to be rolled out as quite cheap kits that people could have in their pocket. So that could be one way to help people feel more secure about their drinks. And if people are worried about getting methanol poisoning, apart from not drinking, is there any other advice And if they're worried that they might have had something that's contaminated, what should they do?
It's still being advised that go to like a legal vendor. Don't go to a street vendor that you never heard about. Try to check the bottle if you can, see where this is coming from, if there is the seal. Of course, we just said that there are some illegal seals in the market, so these are some of the advices that experts and the government are telling people to listen. So if you are feeling any symptoms, please go to the hospital as soon as you can so they can treat you.
It sounds like there is still quite a lot of work that needs to be done to clamp down on the sale of contaminated drinks and work for the government to do to work out a better way to stop it getting into the supply chain and getting it to consumers. Louise, thank you so much.
Thank you very much for having me.
And that's it from us today. But if you enjoyed this episode, we're right here on the BBC World Service YouTube channel 5 days a week. 2 of those episodes are video episodes. So come join us, leave your thoughts down below, and we hope to see you soon. I'm Hannah, and this is What in the World from the BBC World Service.